If you wake up at 3 a.m. and suddenly your brain feels wide awake, your heart calm, but your body still exhausted, while your mind begins racing for no clear reason, something unusual may be happening inside your brain. Many people immediately assume this is insomnia, but sleep science suggests something far more specific may be happening. A hidden signal deep inside the brain can trigger what feels like brain alert mode in the middle of the night. And once this signal quietly activates, the brain can suddenly shift from deep sleep into full awareness, not gradually, but instantly, almost like a switch being flipped on. This is why so many people say their brain won't shut off after they wake up, and why falling back asleep can suddenly feel impossible. But here's the strange part most people never notice. The people experiencing this usually fall asleep normally at the beginning of the night. Sleep starts peacefully and without effort. Then, hours later, something inside the brain changes. The nervous system becomes alert again for reasons that aren't obvious, and the real question becomes why the brain suddenly interrupts sleep at that moment, because the answer to that question explains far more than most people realize. I'm Dr. Sarah, a sleep medicine specialist with a background in psychiatry. For more than a decade, I've worked closely with people struggling with sleep disruptions. Many of them describe waking up suddenly around 3 a.m. without understanding why. Others say their brain won't shut off once they wake up. Some experience a racing mind at night that feels impossible to quiet, and many simply can't fall asleep again no matter how tired they feel. This pattern becomes especially common in people who struggle with insomnia after 40. Over the years, one pattern became impossible to ignore. Many people arriving at sleep clinics believe they have classic insomnia. They assume stress or poor sleep habits must be the cause, but in many cases, the situation is far more biological than psychological. The brain is not simply refusing to sleep. Instead, it is entering a very specific neurological state during the night, a state that changes how the brain regulates sleep stability. Modern sleep science now refers to this state as the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. It's not a term most people have ever heard before, but researchers are beginning to recognize its role in nighttime awakenings, especially in people who wake up suddenly and feel mentally alert. When this response activates, the brain temporarily blocks deeper sleep cycles, which is why someone can feel exhausted and yet fully awake at the same time. Understanding why this response appears is where things become interesting. Before we go deeper into how this mechanism works inside the brain, take a moment to like the video and follow the channel if topics like this help you understand your sleep better, because sleep science is constantly uncovering new insights about nighttime brain behavior, and many people find relief simply by understanding what their brain is doing, especially when those mysterious awakenings keep happening around 3 a.m. But once you understand what the neural sleep inhibition response actually does, those late-night awakenings start making far more sense than you might expect. And the most surprising part is this: the brain often activates this response for reasons that feel invisible to the person experiencing it. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. Sometimes the trigger is simply a subtle shift in the nervous system or a change in how the brain regulates nighttime alertness. That's why people often say the awakening feels random and confusing, but the brain is actually following a very specific biological signal. The real question is, what signal could cause the brain to suddenly switch into alert mode while the body is trying to sleep? Why would the nervous system interrupt rest right in the middle of the night? And why does this seem to happen at nearly the same time for so many people? Understanding that timing reveals something important about the sleep cycle, because when the brain enters the neural sleep inhibition response, it begins interacting with another powerful system in the body, a system that controls nighttime vigilance and morning wakefulness, and that system begins changing the moment sleep deepens. For most people, the brain follows a predictable rhythm once the night begins. Sleep unfolds through carefully regulated biological stages. Hormones shift in precise timing patterns. Neural signals inside the nervous system gradually reduce alertness. The brain prepares the body for deeper restoration, and the entire system begins aligning with the circadian rhythm. Under normal conditions, sleep should become deeper as the night progresses. Melatonin begins to rise steadily in the brain. This hormone signals that darkness has arrived. The nervous system gradually slows its activity. Heart rate becomes more stable and breathing softens. Muscle tension decreases as the body releases physical vigilance. Brainwave patterns begin transitioning into deeper sleep stages, and the entire system begins entering the restorative phase of sleep. But sometimes something unexpected interrupts that natural progression. Instead of deepening sleep, the brain shifts direction. The nervous system quietly increases its level of alertness. Signals associated with wakefulness begin activating earlier than expected. The brain starts monitoring the internal environment more closely, almost as if something requires attention, and this is when sleep suddenly becomes fragile. For many people, this is the exact moment they suddenly wake up. Often the clock reads somewhere around 3 a.m. Their eyes open without any obvious reason. Their body still feels deeply tired, but their mind becomes strangely alert. Thoughts begin appearing rapidly and without control, and the quiet darkness of the night suddenly feels mentally active. This is when many people notice their mind racing unexpectedly. They try to relax and return to sleep, but the brain feels like it refuses to slow down. Thoughts repeat themselves in cycles. Small concerns suddenly feel unusually vivid, and the more they try to fall asleep again, the more they feel awake, almost as if the brain has entered a different operating mode. The strange part is that the body itself still wants sleep. The muscles remain heavy and relaxed. The eyes feel tired and sensitive to light. Physical fatigue is still present, but the brain behaves as if something important needs attention, and this disconnect between body and mind creates confusion because people can feel exhausted and alert at the same time. Sleep science has been studying this strange shift in nighttime brain activity, and researchers have identified a mechanism that appears during these moments, a mechanism linked to changes in nervous system vigilance. Subtle shifts in cortisol rhythm can also play a role. Together, these signals can interrupt deeper sleep stages. This biological reaction is known as the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response, and understanding why the brain activates this response reveals something even more surprising about the night. When this response activates inside the brain, several biological changes begin unfolding almost simultaneously. The shift happens quietly and often without the person realizing it. Sleep does not disappear instantly, but it becomes unstable. The brain begins adjusting its internal monitoring systems. Signals related to vigilance increase their activity, and the nervous system starts preparing for a state closer to wakefulness. All of this can occur while the body still feels deeply tired. One of the first systems affected is the autonomic nervous system. This system controls alertness, breathing rhythm, and internal balance. When the brain detects subtle changes during the night, it increases surveillance. Heart rate may stabilize at a slightly higher level. Neural circuits associated with awareness begin activating. The brain starts scanning for internal or external signals, and this quiet increase in vigilance can interrupt deeper sleep stages. At the same time, another hormone begins shifting its timing. Cortisol, often associated with morning wakefulness, may rise earlier than expected. This rise is usually very small and difficult to notice consciously, but the brain is extremely sensitive to these hormonal changes. Even a slight increase can influence nighttime alertness. The brain interprets this signal as a cue to become more attentive, and sleep stability can weaken during that moment. While this is happening, the brain also delays the activation of what scientists call the sleep switch. This neurological mechanism helps maintain deep and continuous sleep. Under normal conditions, it keeps the brain locked into restorative cycles. But when alertness signals increase, the switch becomes less stable. The brain hovers between sleep and wakefulness. Deep sleep becomes harder to sustain, and this is when people often wake up unexpectedly. The experience that follows feels strangely familiar to many people. Your body clearly wants to return to sleep, your eyes feel heavy, and your muscles remain relaxed, but your brain behaves differently. Thoughts begin forming rapidly, your mind becomes active and alert, and suddenly it feels impossible to quiet the mental activity. This is why many people say they can't fall asleep again once they wake up. The brain has already shifted into a monitoring state. Trying to force sleep often makes the alertness feel stronger. Sleep becomes fragmented rather than continuous. People wake up several times throughout the night, and achieving the ability to sleep through the night becomes much more difficult, especially when this pattern repeats night after night. But researchers notice something even more interesting about this pattern. It does not affect all age groups in the same way. Certain biological shifts make some people more sensitive to these nighttime signals. Changes in circadian rhythm regulation can increase this sensitivity. Hormonal fluctuations also influence how the brain responds during sleep. This is why one specific group of people begins noticing these awakenings more frequently, and understanding why that happens reveals another important piece of the sleep puzzle. After the age of 40, the brain begins experiencing subtle shifts in how sleep is regulated. These changes do not happen suddenly or dramatically. Instead, they develop slowly as the body adapts to new biological rhythms. Many people continue falling asleep normally at night, but the internal balance that maintains deep sleep can become more delicate. The brain becomes slightly more sensitive to signals during the night, and this sensitivity can influence how stable sleep remains. One of the systems affected by these changes is the circadian rhythm. This biological clock regulates the timing of sleep and wakefulness. For younger adults, the rhythm tends to remain very stable throughout the night, but after 40, its signals can become more responsive to internal fluctuations. Small variations in hormones or nervous system activity become easier to detect. The brain begins monitoring nighttime signals more carefully, and this heightened awareness can sometimes interrupt deeper sleep stages. Another factor involves gradual changes in hormonal balance. Hormones that regulate sleep timing and alertness begin shifting their patterns. Melatonin release may become slightly shorter in duration. At the same time, cortisol rhythms can become more reactive to stress signals. Even mild increases in cortisol during the night can influence brain vigilance. The brain interprets these signals as cues to become more attentive, and this can disturb the continuity of sleep cycles. When these biological factors combine, the nervous system becomes more responsive. It begins reacting faster to internal changes during the night. For some people, this increases the chances of triggering the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response. The brain activates a protective monitoring state. Deep sleep becomes temporarily interrupted, and the transition back into sleep becomes harder. This does not mean something is wrong with your body. In fact, it reflects the brain trying to protect sleep stability. The brain becomes more careful about maintaining balance during the night. It monitors hormonal signals more closely than before. It pays greater attention to internal biological rhythms, and it tries to prevent disruptions before they fully develop. But sometimes that protective system becomes a little too sensitive. When that sensitivity increases too much, the effect can reverse. Instead of protecting sleep, the brain begins interrupting it. Small changes in cortisol or nervous system activity trigger alertness. The brain shifts quietly into brain alert mode, and this is when many people suddenly wake up at 3 a.m. Their body still feels tired, but their mind becomes active, and returning to sleep becomes far more difficult than expected. What surprised many sleep researchers is that this awakening pattern often follows a very precise window during the night. The brain seems to react during a specific phase of the sleep cycle. Something in the timing of hormonal signals appears to trigger the response. This suggests the brain may be responding to a deeper biological rhythm, a rhythm connected to cortisol and circadian timing. And understanding how the brain detects that moment reveals another important clue about why these awakenings repeat night after night. Imagine your brain like a night security system quietly protecting you while you sleep. During healthy sleep, this system gradually powers down. Internal surveillance becomes minimal. The nervous system reduces alertness signals. Breathing slows and muscles relax. The brain allows deeper restorative cycles to unfold, and the body enters its most powerful repair phase of the night. When everything feels safe to the brain, this system stays calm. The internal alarms remain silent. Sleep deepens naturally as the night progresses. The brain stops scanning for disturbances. Energy is redirected toward recovery and restoration. Cells repair themselves and memory consolidation occurs, and the body moves smoothly through the deepest sleep stages. But the brain is always monitoring the environment at some level. Even during deep sleep, it never completely shuts down awareness. It continues checking signals from inside the body. Hormonal rhythms are constantly being evaluated. The nervous system observes subtle biological fluctuations, and when something unusual appears, the brain reacts immediately, even if that signal is extremely small. In that moment, the internal security system activates. A quiet alarm begins operating inside the brain. Neural circuits responsible for vigilance increase their activity. Sensors linked to awareness begin switching on. The brain prepares to move closer to wakefulness, and the nervous system gradually shifts into alert mode. This shift can happen in just seconds. This is where the Neural Sleep Inhibition Response enters the picture. It functions like that internal alarm system activating at night. The brain believes it must remain attentive for a moment, so it delays deeper sleep cycles temporarily. The goal is not to harm sleep at all. The brain is simply prioritizing safety signals. Protection always comes before rest in the brain's hierarchy. The difficulty appears once the alarm has already activated, even if the original signal disappears quickly. The brain may remain partially vigilant for a while. Sleep becomes lighter and easier to interrupt. Small thoughts or sensations can trigger wakefulness, and suddenly the person finds themselves awake in the middle of the night, often noticing the clock somewhere around 3 a.m. At that point, the security system is still running in the background. The brain has not fully powered it down yet, which is why returning to sleep can feel unexpectedly difficult. The mind might start generating thoughts more rapidly. Mental activity increases even while the body feels exhausted. And the question many researchers began asking was what exactly triggers that alarm in the first place? Because the answer involves another hidden cycle happening inside the brain during the night. Once the brain experiences this nighttime alert state a few times, something interesting begins to happen. The nervous system starts remembering the pattern. Sleep no longer feels completely predictable to the brain. It begins anticipating possible interruptions during the night. The brain becomes slightly more attentive to internal signals, and this quiet anticipation can change how sleep unfolds, even when the person is not consciously aware of it. The nervous system slowly becomes more vigilant during sleep. It monitors hormonal fluctuations with greater sensitivity. Subtle shifts in cortisol become easier for the brain to detect. Signals that once passed unnoticed now receive attention. The brain begins reacting faster to these changes, and alertness pathways activate more easily than before, especially during the deeper phases of the night. This is when the brain can re-enter brain alert mode more quickly. The internal monitoring system becomes easier to trigger. Small biological cues start activating vigilance responses. The brain shifts toward awareness even without a clear reason. Sleep becomes lighter and more fragile, and the cycle of nighttime awakenings begins repeating itself, often without the person understanding why. over time, people begin noticing a very specific pattern. They start waking up at nearly the same time each night. For many individuals, that moment appears between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Their eyes open suddenly in the darkness. Their body still feels exhausted from the night, but their mind becomes unexpectedly alert, and their brain won't shut off no matter how hard they try. Eventually, some people manage to fall asleep again, but the sleep that follows often feels shallow and brief. The deeper restorative stages have already been interrupted. The brain never fully returns to its previous sleep cycle. Morning arrives before the body has recovered properly, and people wake up feeling tired and mentally drained, even though they technically spent many hours in bed. As this cycle repeats night after night, the brain becomes even more accustomed to it. The nervous system begins expecting the interruption. Sleep timing starts adjusting around the pattern. The brain prepares for that moment of alertness during the night, and the neural sleep inhibition response can activate more easily. Not because the brain is malfunctioning, but because it believes vigilance might be necessary again. The encouraging part is that this pattern is not permanent. The brain is highly adaptable and constantly learning from new signals. When the nervous system receives the right biological cues, it can recalibrate. Alertness pathways can gradually become quieter at night. The sleep cycle can stabilize again over time, and the brain can relearn how to remain in deeper sleep states. But understanding which signals help the brain reset this cycle is where things become especially important. At this point, many people assume the solution is simply forcing the body to sleep. They try stronger sleep routines or heavier sedatives. Some attempt to shut the brain down artificially at night, but this approach often misunderstands the real mechanism involved. The problem is not that the brain refuses sleep. The problem is that the brain has entered a state of nighttime vigilance, and forcing sleep does not always calm that internal alarm. Sedation may make the body feel drowsy, but it does not necessarily resolve the biological signals behind the alert state. The nervous system can remain partially activated beneath the surface. Cortisol rhythms may still fluctuate during the night. The brain can continue monitoring internal signals, and sleep may remain fragmented despite feeling sedated, which is why many people still wake up during the night. The real objective is helping the brain feel safe enough to maintain deep sleep. This means gradually reducing nighttime cortisol activation. The nervous system must be allowed to return to a calmer baseline. Circadian rhythms need to regain their natural timing signals, and the brain must receive cues that nighttime vigilance is no longer necessary. Only then can the internal alarm system begin powering down again. This is when sleep stability truly begins to improve. When these signals begin stabilizing, something interesting happens inside the brain. The monitoring systems slowly reduce their activity. The nervous system relaxes its level of nighttime vigilance. The brain becomes less reactive to small hormonal changes. Sleep cycles regain their natural depth and continuity, and the body can remain asleep longer without interruption, gradually restoring the brain's ability to remain in restorative sleep. This is when many people start noticing a meaningful difference. They wake up fewer times throughout the night. Their mind feels quieter when they briefly awaken. Falling back asleep becomes easier and faster. Sleep begins feeling deeper and more restorative again. And eventually, some people experience something they have missed for a long time: the ability to truly sleep through the night. Researchers studying sleep stability have been focusing on one key factor: the brain's sensitivity to internal signals must gradually decrease. The neural sleep inhibition response needs to become less reactive. This does not require forcing the brain into unconsciousness. Instead, the brain learns that nighttime is safe again, and when that safety signal returns, sleep begins stabilizing naturally. But there is one particular form of support many sleep specialists are now paying closer attention to. This approach focuses on supporting the brain's natural sleep regulation systems. It works alongside circadian rhythms rather than overriding them. The goal is to help the nervous system remain calm as the night deepens by supporting the biological conditions that maintain sleep stability. Some doctors have started recommending certain natural compounds designed for this purpose, not as a replacement for healthy sleep habits, but as a supportive tool that helps the brain remain in its natural sleep state. In recent years, some sleep specialists have begun looking at nighttime support from a different perspective. Instead of trying to force the brain to shut down, the goal is helping it remain calm while sleep deepens naturally. Certain natural compounds are now being studied for their ability to support sleep stability during the night. These formulas are designed to work alongside the body's circadian rhythm rather than override it. They focus on helping the nervous system stay balanced while the brain moves into deeper sleep cycles, which can reduce the chances of the brain slipping into brain alert mode during the night, especially during the hours when sleep becomes most fragile. Many of these nighttime formulas are designed to support three key systems involved in sleep regulation. The first focuses on helping maintain melatonin stability as the night progresses. The second supports a more balanced cortisol rhythm during the early morning hours. And the third helps encourage deeper nervous system relaxation while the body sleeps. Together, these factors create the internal conditions needed for sleep continuity, instead of the brain reacting strongly to small biological fluctuations, and this stability can help the brain remain asleep longer through the night. Some doctors now recommend certain natural sleep support formulas for people experiencing repeated nighttime awakenings, not as a replacement for healthy sleep habits or medical care, but as a supportive way to help the brain maintain stable sleep signals. These formulas are designed to complement the brain's natural sleep biology by helping reduce the triggers that activate the neural sleep inhibition response. When those triggers become less active, the brain is less likely to shift into nighttime alertness, and maintaining the ability to sleep through the night becomes easier over time. One of the options I sometimes recommend focuses specifically on supporting these nighttime conditions. Its goal is not sedation or artificially forcing sleep. Instead, it helps support the signals the brain relies on to remain calm at night, which can make it easier for the brain to stay out of its internal vigilant state. If you want to learn more about that formula, I left information in the first pinned comment below this video. It's simply a doctor-approved sleep support, not a medication, and it's designed to complement healthy sleep habits rather than replace them. But there is one more detail about these awakenings that most people never hear about. The neural sleep inhibition response often activates during a very precise window of the night. Researchers have observed that this timing frequently appears between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. That moment is closely connected to natural changes in cortisol rhythm inside the brain. When the brain becomes sensitive to that signal, it can suddenly shift into alert mode. In the next video pinned on this channel, I'll explain exactly why this timing appears so often. Because once you understand that timing, those 3 a.m. awakenings stop feeling random.